Hotel workers in for a double-digit pay increase over a 3-year period. Illegal buses among the main concerns raised at the latest parish speaks in St. Thomas. PSV owners encouraged to buy electric vehicles as a new dealer hits the market. And in sports, Hilda Skeene, Wilkie, Cumberbatch and Blackman and Gollop take the honours in the last 2 NAPSAC zonal meets.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. Hotel workers are in line for a 10% pay increase. The good news is coming from Chairman of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Renee Coppin. She was speaking at the first quarterly annual general meeting at the Radisson Aquatic Resort today. Sean Farrell reports.
Thousands of workers in Barbados' bread and butter industry will see an increase reflected in their wages and salaries from next month. Chairman of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Renee Coppin, says the agreement for the pay hike has come out of negotiations with the Barbados Workers Union. She says while the 10% increase will accumulate over the course of 3 years, some properties have already started to grant the increases.
We are, however, pleased to advise that we've agreed that notwithstanding the preferred practice of having the agreement completed and signed prior to any payments being made, the new wage rates are proposed by us and agreed to take effect from April pay dates as follows. Year 1, we had 0%, that was December 2021 to December 2022, 0% due to COVID, obviously. Year 2, which is December 2022 to December 2023, 3%. Year 3, December 2023 to December 2024, 3%. And Year 4, December 2024 to December 2025, 4%. This represents a cumulative of 10% increase.
The chairman adds negotiations between the BHTA and the union are ongoing.
As you all know, we've been in negotiations with the union since November 2022. And while we have not yet reached final settlement of the collective bargaining agreement, we are pleased to report that we reached agreement on most of the outstanding matters. While there are now only 22 of our over 80 hotel members who are signatories to the agreement, the most critical element of the agreement that has traditionally been followed by most of the hotels and the members in this industry has been the agreement to provide increases.
Ms. Coppin further states that given 2023 was the first full year of recovery after COVID restrictions were lifted in 2022, hoteliers started 2024 with a bang.
The Barbados Statistical Service, as of yesterday, indicates arrivals in January of 73,693 passengers and February of 74,010, which would represent the highest arrival numbers for this island in that period, January-February, over the past 5 years. Our occupancy levels for that period, as for our most recent Smith Travel report, were 73.7 and 78.3 for January and February respectively. This does represent a decline of 6.8 and 8.2 in those respective months. However, ADRs increased in both those months, so the revenues in both those months were up for many of the properties, and there must be consideration given to the increased supply of rooms that came onto the market during that period.
The chairman says based on airlift developments, the upcoming winter season looks even more promising. Sean Farrell, CBC News.
Meanwhile, the Barbados Workers Union is refuting claims made by Ms. Coppin regarding the resolution of wage and salary negotiations within the hotel sector. BWU Deputy General Secretary Dwayne Paul says that such claims are not only unfounded, but also recklessly misleading, as 3 critical components remain unresolved in the ongoing negotiations.
There are 3 components outstanding in the negotiations between the Barbados Workers Union and the BHTA. Item 1, wages and salaries, and retroactive payment of those wages and salaries. 2, uniforms. 3, meal allowance. And I hasten to say that the issue of meal allowance has been the single biggest matter to be discussed at the table, which is surprising in the negotiation for an industry which prides itself on providing quality meals for visitors. And therefore, we would have expected that this would not have been an issue for those workers who actually prepare and serve these meals on a daily basis, partaking in such.
A boutique hotel has been rebranded and added to the hospitality landscape of Barbados. The Rockley opened its doors to business yesterday. Owned and operated by the Ocean Hotels Group, the Rockley is a reincarnation of the old South Beach Hotel, offering a new design with local vibes. Group Chief Executive Officer and General Manager Patricia Afonso Das says it sits in the heart of the vibrant South Coast and is the perfect jumping-off point for visitors who want a great base from which to get out and experience the amazing coast.
As such, we felt that the property should provide as immersive an experience as possible, providing our guests with a taste of all that they will experience as they traverse this island. The colour, flavour, warmth, and the warmth of Bajan hospitality. Some lingo that they can use that would help them understand and give them a sense of belonging.
Personalized and Bajanized amenities coupled with local art adorns the 49 junior and one-bedroom suites and the hotel.
The property is sold on bed and breakfast, so it's important to have a restaurant, a 75-foot swimming pool, a fun and relaxing play space and guest hospitality lounge, a bright, well-equipped fitness room, a small reading room, perfect for welcome stampers who need a convenient place to work for the day or have a meeting outside of their home. And we also offer complimentary beach lounges and umbrellas for our guests who want to spend time on the amazing Rockley Beach, which is literally just 267 steps away.
The issue of illegal buses plying various routes in St. Thomas is one of grave concern to Member of Parliament Cynthia Ford, and the Transport Board is being called on to help alleviate the woes. Wendy Burt tells us that this and a number of other issues were placed on the table, and Prime Minister Mia Amal Motdi and other officials sought to give remedy.
The discussion was quite robust and the issues were plenty, and the St. Thomas Speak sought to address them and offer resident solutions. Member of Parliament for the parish, Cynthia Ford, says 3/4 of the ZRs plying the Jackson route are illegal, and this is very concerning.
If one of those buses comes down Ashford Hill and gets in an accident, those people who get injured, God forbid, cannot get a claim. But the only time we see a Sturgis Transport Board bus, and we don't want any Chinese bus or any special bus, we want a bus from the Transport Board that can take the people. And this is 5 consecutive years that I've been calling Transport Board. I've written officially, Sturgis sees a bus on a Sunday morning around 8:30, and perhaps another around after 10. None in the week. People are hurrying with children. They can't get to work, they can't get to school.
The operations manager at the Transport Board, Linda Holder, says they can't deny that Ms. Ford has been asking for the buses, but they are under a repair program.
We have been trying to repair those buses. The buses are under a repair program right now. I cannot say to you that you're going to get the Hino bus, which is what you've been asking for. What we did since the time I did the tour with you, what we did was to put, you don't like the TAP vehicles, but we put something in place. And the TAP vehicles that are in place right now are actually working because they have gone to the point that they have developed a relationship with those particular drivers because we've dedicated TAP vehicles in there at this point in time.
Alene View and Hopewell resident Michael Alene called for a definitive rehabilitation plan from Minister of Transport and Works, Santia Bradshaw, for St. Thomas's roads.
A project from a department that was under your watch a few weeks or months ago has been started between here and Hopewell, Waterworks. It seemed to me that it was a closely guarded secret until the work started. There was no proper communication to the folks, the traveling public, the residents, especially in Bridgefield and in between, well, there's a short way, Bridgefield and Hopewell.
$230 million that we got through the loan through the Exim Bank from China. Those funds, what we have been doing in the last, say, year or so, is working with the compliant team in the wet season to prepare the designs. So you have to do surveys, the topographical surveys, you have to do preliminary designs. It has to go back and forth between MTW, the supervisory consultants, and then it gets to the point of a design, a final design stage. Then you have to cost it. So most most of the two roads you've referred to, Reese Road and Hangman Hill, we are at the point now where the detailed designs have been completed, and they're at the process now of doing the bill of quantities.
Resident John Mark Cozier raised the issue of a black belly sheep registry and other husbandry projects. In response, Prime Minister Motley said all these are possible, given that the Agricultural Fund is being refinanced.
If we see projects with a definable beginning and a definable outcome, that is why the Agricultural Development Fund is there. We're going to look at recapitalizing it shortly in phases. That is why we're also doing other projects through the feed program and also the BADMC. Tomorrow, we're going to be voting the money for the farmers that I announced last Monday for the farmers to get the water. So that is really for the Water Authority to be able to put in the water at Spencer's, Wakefield, Mount Poyer, Bath. I think those are the four or so locations. And that money will be voted tomorrow afternoon.
She added that artificial goat insemination is also a must because Barbados must get its livestock industry back to full throttle. Wendy Burke, CBC News.
The students and teachers of the Leavon School will have to wait a little longer as education officials determine the next step. Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer-Bradshaw, along with Principal Suzette Holder and Acting Medical Officer of Health Dr. Carl Ward, toured the compound today. Crystal Hoyt has details.
A month after the Leavon School switched to online learning, there's been no resolution as to when on-site classes will resume. This is despite the air quality and environmental quality analysis report for all blocks and the campus drainage systems being completed. CBC obtained a copy of that report.
When we read through the report, the conclusion drawn by the expert was that there is no cause for concern with regard to the volatile organic compounds that are above the sealed manholes at the Leavon School.
The findings of the report were shared with staff during a meeting on Wednesday.
Teachers saw the report and they said that even though the report stated that there is nothing to be concerned about relative to the volatile organic compounds above the well, that there is a possibility that there may be other factors within the environment affecting them. The question was asked of Mr. Ian Weeks, who conducted the test, whether there was a possibility that that could occur. And I remember Mr. Weeks made it clear that the instrument that he used for the test or could pick up any volatile organic compounds within the atmosphere, not only those volatile organic compounds coming from the well. And based on the findings, there was no cause for alarm. All of the volatile organic compounds, the concentration of those were below the threshold.
Nevertheless, staff has complained about dizziness, lethargy, and itchy skin, among other things. But Dr. Archer-Bradshaw says they've addressed everything brought to their attention, including the most recent issue.
The latest complaint was the scent of the sewer gases, and they said that they experienced the sewer scents whenever the rain fell. As a result, the chairman of the Board of Management ensured that a smoke test was done. When he did the smoke test, he recognized that there were indeed breaches in the system, and he moved swiftly to rectify those breaches.
While it's unclear when students will return to the compound, classes are being held online, and around 250 4th and 5th form students are being accommodated at other secondary schools to do their school-based assessment.
And I can tell you that the SBAs are 79% complete. Yes, with some subjects having 100% completion.
Education officials are meeting with parents online tonight to determine the way forward. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Coming up, new testing capabilities to provide better health care for children. More testing can now be done of children to detect non-communicable diseases and deficiencies at an early stage. It's the result of a donation by the Shaw Center for Pediatric Excellence at the Freddie Miller Polyclinic, the Glebe St. George today. Trevor Thorpe reports.
Health officials are hopeful that new equipment in the maternal and childcare sections of the polyclinics will enable them to detect any ailments in the early stages. This according to pediatrician and neonatologist Dr. Clyde Cave, who was speaking during the presentation.
I would suspect that if we really start doing blood pressures routinely, now we have the equipment on younger and younger patients, we might find some surprising results. We take it for granted that it's a disease of the elderly, partly because we can't or haven't been measuring traditionally younger people. As we start this, we may find out that the problems we face later on can be detected earlier.
Dr. Cave says a team visited all the polyclinics to ascertain what was needed and decided to provide equipment related largely monitoring growth, which is also used in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Minister of Health and Wellness, Senator Dr. the Most Honourable Jerome Walcott, says the donation was timely. He adds that the equipment will help to modernise the polyclinics and bring more efficient management to paediatric cases.
I take the point of earlier check-in of hypertension. Only recently I was called about a relative who is about 15 and has an elevated blood pressure. And obviously we have to think of childhood illnesses, nephrotic syndrome, all of these things. And I certainly think this would enhance the delivery of care in these polyclinics.
Meanwhile, Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. Arthur Phillips says while it is true that most non-communicable diseases present in older people, there are things that can be detected in children that will allow healthcare workers to intervene earlier and make a difference.
In particular, issues around potentially detecting children who may have raised blood pressure. Very uncommon, but possible. So if we do detect raised blood pressure in children, we can try to understand the causes and intervene early. So that is one of the ways in which this donation may assist. And then, of course, our continued interest in childhood obesity. So this equipment allows us to continue and to strengthen our effort in terms of monitoring child development, which is something we routinely do as part of our maternal and child health.
This donation is expected to go a long way in assisting health officials to make Barbados a healthier society. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Well, several nurses and doctors are being given the opportunity to specialize in various aspects of pediatric care. Pediatrician and neonatologist Dr. Clyde Cave says approximately 40 nurses will be trained in pediatric care, with one nurse from St. Vincent and the Grenadines and two from the Bahamas.
There's no program like this in the region, and there has been considerable interest. Having got our 40 nurses largely trained, we've handed over the program to the University of the West Indies, so they can now have a diploma program that they can run in perpetuity.
Dr. Cave explains that the nurses operating in Barbados have been general nurses with pediatric experience, but more professionals are needed in the specialist field.
And our target was for 40 nurses throughout the healthcare system, which means QEH and the polyclinics, because children are seen in the community as much, if not more, than in the hospital. And that's been our first success, getting the program designed and approved by the university and implemented.
Regarding the doctors, Dr. Cave adds that a number of them are also being trained in subspecializations, including neonatology, pediatric and adolescent gynecology, pediatric and adolescent psychiatry, and adolescent medicine. The training is being done through postgraduate fellowships at the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto, Canada. More Barbadians now have the opportunity to become Notary Publics. This after Acting Attorney General Wilfred Abrams moved the Notaries Public Bill 2024 in the lower house this evening. Mr. Abrams says it is inefficient that the current list of Notary Publics only include public servants who worked from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. even after an amendment was done in 2017. However, the Acting Attorney General has moved to increase the list of those who might hold that title.
The amendment in 2017 was insufficient. we expanded from a limited category of public officials to a slightly less limited category of public officials. But that was not sufficient. And quite frankly, sir, we were spinning top in mud. That was taking incremental steps when you already know where the goalpost is. If you know where the goalpost is, it makes sense to reach that goalpost in one go.
Well, the list will now include attorneys at law who have been in practice for 15 years and accountants with the same number of years of experience. Additionally, members of the public might apply for the posting but will have to undergo and pass the relevant training to be able to be certified as a Notary Public. However, Minister Abrams made it clear that even though people satisfy the minimum requirement to hold the post, it did not mean that the title was bestowed as a right and would require that they apply for the posting.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Time now to join Anne-Marie Burke with all the action in our Sports Night. Anne-Marie, good evening to you.
Pearson. Of course, we start with track and field. As Crane Resort, Hilda Skeene swept both the boys and girls titles in the Ryan Brathwaite zone, while the honors were shared between Wilkie, Cumberbatch and Blackman and Gollop in the Frida Nichols zone, as the zonal meets of the Shafet Frosties NAPSAC were completed today at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex. Hilda Skeene girls tallied 361 and the boys 293.5 to dominate their zone. Wilkie won their girls section with 278, while Blackman and Gollop amassed 321 to take the boys. Here's a look at some of the record-breaking performances.
This race belongs to Anaya Catlin, the zone record holder, slowing up a bit here. I don't think she's too worried as she can't feel anyone anywhere close to her. 50 meters to go. So Catlin will take the first section. Gordon Greenwich Primary has something to shout about. They'll be the first one making some noise here today.
Definitely.
Here we go, 7:21. Rico Gibson of Gordon Greenwich on his way to victory. Remember the record, zone record, 254.78. We just saw a 250 point coming from that first section. Let's see if he's going to be fast enough. So here we go. Rico Gibson of Gordon Greenwich winning the second section and running for time here. Jaira Herbert of Wilkie Cumberbatch finishing strong. Off and running here. I'm seeing lane number 4 is doing the running. Grisette Boyce, Natalia Grisette Boyce of Popular Discount LTG. She's going to take it.
The young man from Gordon Greenwich.
There we go again. A good start. I think that was a jump from Danico Ford of St. Mark's Primary. But there's going to be no stopping Josiah Moore of Blackman and Gollop in 6 from Popular Discount LTG. Shazane Straker Kinch. And they are off and running right now in lane 7. Genesis Smith of Blackman and Gollop. So Smith is going to run away with that one.
The Business Report, brought to you with the compliments of Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
In tonight's Business Report, public service vehicle owners are being encouraged to take advantage of the millions of dollars in grant funding available to purchase electric vehicles. The suggestion came as a new brand of electric vehicles was launched yesterday. Trevor Thorpe was there and he filed this report.
The higher EV buses, new to the Barbados market, were unveiled at the Muse in Whole Town. The dealer is the Huser Motor Corporation, whose financial director is Trevor Headley. He used the launch to point out that people interested in purchasing the vehicles can get assistance from government's Energy Smart Fund, for which he is a partner.
There's a fund that has in $41 million in it right now, and believe it or not, they're almost begging you to take this money. You can imagine that? $41 million. Now part of that money is $50,000 in grants. Grants. That means you don't have to pay it back. That's for small entrepreneurs who have like salons and so on, barbershops and so on. They can get up to $50,000 in a grant it has to be connected to renewable energy. Now the other part of the loan, the fund is a loan through the Enterprise Growth Fund up to $2 million at 3.75% interest.
Mr. Headley said attention will be placed on training young people in after-sales service.
Gone are the days where you can just go underneath a mango tree and fix these vehicles. These vehicles have into computers. Just the battery itself, there's something called a battery management unit, right? And I see my friend here, Rodney, is smiling at me. That is a computer that sits on the battery to make sure that all the cells are balanced and so on. So my aim, my primary role in this company, this startup, and I believe in it, is to get some youngsters and some oldsters too, like you're looking at me all the time. And I'm going to be reaching out to the SJPI to get the youngsters involved, to have them trained.
President of the Alliance of Owners of Public Transport, Roy Raphael, lauded the initiative by the Hoosier Corporation and called it a win-win situation for the sector.
We are really happy today to be part of the launch. I'm looking forward for us to capitalize on it. As you were told that funding is available through the Enterprise Growth Fund. Government have made available over $3 million in the sector to get rolling. The Prime Minister is very much interested, and she wants to start the leading off as related to renewable energy. And the association, as I said, is prepared to start the ball rolling. We are going to start with 15 vehicles very, very shortly.
Over 800 public service vehicles are on Barbados' roads, and officials say the transition from fossil fuels to electric vehicles is imminent. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
We're back with sports. We're back with Anne-Marie Burke.
We start with more news of cricket. A number of suggestions were put before the Barbados Cricket League to help prolong its life and secure its future. They were made by Sports Minister Charles Griffith at the BCL's awards ceremony held at the Cricket Legends of Barbados recently. Top teams and outstanding players were awarded for their performances in 2022 and 2023, as Lodge Road took the lion's share of the awards. In the presence of former West Indies, Barbados and BCL legend Joel Garner, along with other cricket and sporting officials, the league said it was looking ahead to the upcoming season. However, Minister Griffith says the BCL needs to be more proactive and asks for the needed assistance.
If it is a case where you can come to us along with the coaches that we will have attached and say, look, Joel got some talent as a cricketer. Let's move all of these into a fast bowling program. Let's move all of these into a spinners program. And then is a case where we're doing a holistic development of the cricket, because you're identifying fast bowlers, you're identifying spinners, those who are batters, then you can put them in a structured program to develop them as well. I'm saying to the BCL tonight, going forward, it cannot be business as usual. It can't be business as usual. I need for you to help me to help you. And if you do that, I guarantee you that in a year's time, your 21 teams will double. You will see talent that was not there before come into the fore, and it will benefit the BCL.
This year, the BCL is celebrating 88 years since its inception in 1936, starting out with 24 teams and climbing as high as 105. However, those numbers have dwindled to around 21 this year. Minister Griffith has also suggested the league considers implementing junior teams to help keep the league going.
Is how do we move you to maybe another 88 years? And one of the things that I want to suggest that the BCL look at and seriously look at is succession planning even now. If you come with a developmental program where you use those who are involved now at management level in terms of looking to start your own junior team, I think that is one of the ways that you can prolong the life of the BCL.
Tonight, our final athlete in the Spotlight feature looks at the top 5 performers of the 2024 Dasani Powerade BSAC.
The 2024 Dasani Powerade BSAC Championships completed. Let's look at some of the competitors who dominated for their respective schools on Athlete in the Spotlight. Sponsored by Powerade. Pause is power and Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. At number 5, we have Princess Margaret star girl Ariel Archer, the under-20 girls 200 and 400 meter champion.
And it's Archer, Bentham, and Arthur. Who wants it the most? Princess Margaret fighting on. Cumberbatch right near the Bentham. Who has the gusto? Chest up at 50. Let's make it work. Ariel Archer goes to the front. She starts to take, but she will make it. Ariel Archer wins it.
Number 4 is a young lady with the last name Nurse, and she brought with her the winning medicine in the under-17 girls division, winning the 100 and 400 meters.
Set. And we're off for a run. Look at Naya Nurse is up quickly. Here comes Queen's College looking good as Kalia Hines. But Naya Nurse goes to the front for good. And Naya Nurse pulls away from the post of choker. She's gone away from the good by good like Nurse. And Naya Nurse, lethal, wins the under-17 girls 100.
Let's move into the top 3. And up next, we have the fastest schoolgirl in Barbados, who did the double, winning the 100-meter hurdles and the flat event.
On your mark, set and gone. Third time of asking. St. Michael's School getting up quickly. That's Jada Williams, but look in the middle of the track. Here comes Alika Harewood, and Williams. Alika Harewood pulls away from Alika Harewood. Strike, go home for Cumberbatch School. Alika Harewood for Cumberbatch.
We go up and on to number 2, and guess who? The fastest schoolboy on the island, also hailing from the 2024 Double Crown champions. He completed the under-20 boys sprint double.
Interesting. On your mark, I'm going though for the under-20 boys 100-meter final. Aragon Stricker will have cruise control here at 50. Aragon Stricker's under no pressure. Jaden Green is coming in, but Aragon Stricker wins it again. He's a 100-meter champion for the second time at BSAC 2023, no 24. Aragon Stricker, the fastest schoolboy in BIM.
And finally at number 1, the most impressive performance for the 2024 Dasani Power Aid BSAC came from Rajada Hines of the Allen School in the under-13 girls division. It was the only record to fall.
So they're on the starter's orders, and there they go. Very slow start for the young lady from Parkinson, but starting very quickly and looking very good. Rajada Hines of the Allen School. Oh, she looks good, Perry. Just behind her, represented the Law School, going to take that second spot, may take the second spot. I have to correct myself there, because it was a close thing for second between Gabriella Scott of the Law School and Tia Gittins of the Ellerslie School.
That was your athlete in the spotlight, where we took a look at some of the competitors who dominated for their respective schools at the 2024 Dasani Power Aid BSAC Championships. Sponsored by Power Aid. Pause is power, and Dasani. Live first, Dasani after.
And that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, have a happy Easter weekend. Good night.